Hello, everybody. How are you doing? We're here with Shen from Shen Comix, the one and only. How are you doing?
Hello, I am doing good. How are you doing? What do I call you on here? First of all, actually, I
So,
forgot to ask.
it really depends because a lot of people call me Val because Valdevia is my username. A lot of people call me Ed because Eduardo is my name. So you choose whatever's easier for you.
I kind of like Val. It's like Val Helsing, except like with Beatles. I dig
Yeah.
it.
Well, it's kind of like Shen, right? It's still a username that kind of became, it kind of got shortened into this nickname, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Did some out of curiosity, because this happened with me, right? Um, I never shortened it. People just kind of shortened it for me.
Yeah, it happened to
Did
me
that
as well.
happen with you?
Yeah,
Like, did somebody just call you Val at some point?
people just started calling me Val, and I never really questioned it. It just became a thing.
Yeah, you never resisted it. You were like, okay,
Yeah, that
that's
works.
me now. Yeah.
Okay, so we're here with Shen for chat. I assume most everybody here knows Shen, and you guys come from Shen's socials. But if you don't know, Shen does amazing comics. I'm gonna share your Twitter in chat for anybody that maybe doesn't know, just in case. But we're here, this podcast, little live podcast show is House of Horrors, and we try to talk about horror or whatever comes up. But I've just been looking at all your I guess more recent horror stuff that you've been doing, and it's so much fun. It's such a cool mix between comedy and horror. Like you have the trappings of like web comics and the style that's it's cute, but suddenly you mix in this horror things, and it just works so well for some reason. Oh no, I love it.
Uh, well, thank you. Yeah, I think webcomics and horror have kind of a special connection. You know,
Mm,
like Chris Straub is obviously a webcomic artist,
yeah,
and he's made a ton of really cool stuff. Candle Cove, Channel.
so
What's the number? Channel
local
57?
58.
50.
Yeah.
Local 58. That's it. Wow,
Mm.
I was one off. um, but that's just a weird like amount to be off, you know.
Mm.
But yeah, and Abby Howard, like she makes amazing horror
Mm.
comics. Made a horror game recently,
Yeah, so good.
or was the artist for. So I think there's a lot of sort of like intersection in that. And then obviously a lot of horror artists like on Twitter and stuff make comics too, and they
Mm.
do amazing at it. I don't know. I take a few stabs at it. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. Sometimes I think it's gonna work and it doesn't, and sometimes I don't think it's gonna work and it does. So
You never know with this kind of things. I think there's a good intersection between horror and comedy. They share a lot of the same DNA. They try to achieve obviously different results, but the
mm,
structure can be the same a lot of the time. I don't know. I
yeah.
guess it's something you're very familiar with because you do both things.
Oh yeah, no, absolutely. They both have like setups, punchlines.
Mm,
I guess like I think about this a lot. I guess you could technically say this for drama too, but I think that horror and comedy are closer kin even than like horror and drama or comedy and drama.
yeah.
Because they have basically any structure, whether it's like dry humor probably has like a horror equivalent. The equivalent in horror of dry humor is like tension horror, where it's
Mm,
just like, oh, the tension is there and it just doesn't let up, you know. And then the jump scare is like
the
the big
punchline.
wacky punch, yeah, almost like a slapstick punchline,
Yeah.
where yeah. That's why it's kind of easy to transition between the two, right? Like if you do, people do it by accident. Like if you do comedy and you mess up, you're going to make something maybe kind of disturbing or scary by
Yeah, that's
accident,
true.
right? Similarly, if you do horror and you mess up, you might make something funny, right?
That's true. Like a lot of the fun of watching bad horror movies is that they kind of become funny in a way. Not always, but it tends to happen more often than not.
Well, there's a lot to talk about in them. Um, are you into horror movies and stuff?
Yeah, I love them.
What
I
type of stuff do you like?
God, so it's for me it's either very kind of like very shitty B movie styles where you're just watching it for fun, for the fun of it. And then there's the more like the very psychological horror that it's not about like having a cool monster, but it's having horror being a kind of representation of something else, or acting as a metaphor. For me, it's both of those, and also anything with a historical setting. I love that kind of stuff.
Historical setting. So do you like The Witch, for example?
Yeah. Oh, that's great. Witch and the Lighthouse are amazing.
Lighthouse,
The
right?
Lighthouse also has that big psychological aspect to it that I love.
Yeah,
Just
yeah.
in terms of modern movies, and I love it. There's also in shows. There's a terror. Talking about historical settings, like the first one that comes to mind. I don't know if you've seen that.
Wait, what is it called again?
The Terror. It's one from
No. What is
AMC,
that?
and it's about a lost Arctic expedition. So it's an expedition by the British Navy, or at least like by officers of the British Navy, that's trying to look for a passage uh, above the American continent, where you can go like from like just cross over it when the ice is not there. They get stuck in the ice for years, and eventually they disappear. So it's a horror show set on there. It's based on the book, but it's that, but they add a monster chasing them. So it's like the real story of how these people disappeared, and how that expedition, like eventually all of them died, which is a real thing that happens, but with the paranormal element added to it. If you guys chat, watch The Terror. It's fantastic. It's definitely a modern classic for me. Also, the just the ship and all the historical ambience are so well done. Very, very good.
Nice. I also endorse The Terror. I have never seen it, but I will see it. I'm sure I will love it,
Oh, you
and you
will.
love it too, Chad. And I know because I don't know. That's
You just endorse my views.
yeah, exactly, exactly.
Somebody was
Yeah,
saying
no,
before
I
that you have two doors behind you, and it's very, very appropriate since we're gonna have uh,
I've actually got three doors here.
three doors.
Check it out. Check
Oh
it out.
god.
There's a third door right there. There it is.
That's three
I've got a
possibilities for
three-door
horror
room,
in your
yo.
room.
Oh yeah. That's actually a pretty good idea. Like, unironically, I've never considered the possibility of multiple doors in a horror story. I'm very, like, tunnel visioned on one door is like
you
what it
have
has
you
to be.
have don't you have one that's like a tour of my house and it's all the doors? That one has a lot of doors.
Yeah, but each door is its own insular scary thing. I'm
Mm.
talking about, like, what if two doors were part of the same scary thing, the same like unit of scariness, you know? Um, yeah,
You
I
open
think
and,
all of the
and you
doors.
open them and one leads to the other, and suddenly you hear a knock. Like
Oh,
there's
that's
one on
kind of
each end of
interesting.
your room, and if you open it, you see
Right.
your room from like the other door. It's like an endless
Right.
chain, and suddenly you hear a
Yeah.
knock on the door, and you know that something's knocking right behind you.
Right.
There we go.
That's really good actually.
Creating
I
horror
like that a lot.
concepts on the fly.
Yeah.
I was thinking that how fun it would be to have a collab comic where we each do a panel.
Yeah.
That could be
How does
fun.
How would that work? Would it be like kind of improvisation, or would we agree on what
Oh,
we're doing?
I was thinking. Well, I didn't think much about it, but right now on the fly, it could be something where it's drawn, and I add photo textures on it, and that creates this weird, cartoonish, uh, cartoonish proportions, but realistic textures that look super uncanny and horrible. That like hyper realistic kind of vibe. You know those when you're watching like SpongeBob or that type of show, and suddenly they do a close up on something, and it's super detailed and gross. That kind of that could
Yeah,
work.
Val, I feel like I'm a little bit worried because I feel like your contribution here might be too powerful. And I don't know, I don't know if I want to unleash that upon the world, the realistic textures.
That's too
Um,
dangerous.
I think didn't Courage the Cowardly Dog do that a little bit? Because they had like very cartoony proportions, but I
Mm.
remember the walls and like the wood of the door looking kind of realistic. I might be misremembering a little
I don't
bit.
know. I don't
I
know
don't
if
know.
that was. I don't know if they use photos. That might be like that might have been like adding extra detail, like just detailed paintings.
Mhm.
They did have that mix between suddenly having cartoonish proportions and that suddenly doing a very detailed shots where you're seeing a bunch of horrible textures. People in chat are saying unleash it. But
They want us to unleash it. Are they sure? Can
I
we
don't know.
ask them if they're sure? Because I don't know if they're sure. They need to
That
be collectively sure of that.
might be too dangerous to put out into the world. Or like, what if there was a door, and it's like
Yeah.
you're
Um.
like a drawing of a door, cartoonish, and you open the door, and there's the what's behind it. It's picture like photorealistic. That could be fun as well. Just a
Oh yeah.
doorway.
Yeah. Um. Yeah, I always try and like uh and people criticize me for this, but I always try and like stay away from drawing the scary thing, right?
Hmm.
Some
No,
people
you're
are
right.
all
Yeah.
about that. Like they love to draw the scary thing and I'm like, "No," because I'm always like it's partially because I do like the tension of not knowing, but
Hmm.
it's partially because like each time I try, I'm like, there's no way I can make this scary enough. You know, like I do this like Halloween thing
Hmm.
every year,
Yeah, I
where
was
I
gonna mention that.
make
That's great.
right that where I make like the profile picture scarier, um, and I spend so much time on that, and I make so many versions like that. Literally dominates my life for 10 days because I have this anxiety. I'm like, I have to make it scarier. I can't make it scary enough. You know?
Yeah, and there's that thing that whatever people imagine is always going to be scarier than whatever you can draw. You can draw like you can be like perfect and draw something exactly photorealistic, whatever. But what people imagine is always going to be scarier. Sometimes though, it's about what you show, like only showing a little bit, but doing that very well. And then, imagine like your typical creature that's just coming out of the shadows, and you just see a hand, and that hand is very scary. And that's only all you need, maybe, because if the hand itself is just like creepy and uncanny, you can imagine the rest pretty well, or just the eyes or something like that. That kind of thing. Uh, Sometimes about what you don't show, right?
Yeah. Um, some of my favorite monsters are ones that are inherently partially unseen, like Trevor Henderson's long horse, right?
Hmm.
It's a long horse.
You can never
I
capture
don't know
all,
where
right?
that horse. What?
Like it's always out of frame. It's never you're
Yeah,
never going to see the full thing.
yeah, you're never gonna see it. It's an entity that you inherently can't see completely,
Yeah.
right? You don't know where that horse begins or ends, and there's something like really appealing to me about that like you know, oh, unseen
Mm.
uh scale, unseen grandness. It's the same with like the concept of the back rooms, which have been this one YouTube channel, what was it, Kane Pixels,
Cane
breathes some
Pixels.
life.
Oh my god,
Yeah,
yeah, that's
really
very good
breathes.
series of videos it's on.
Yeah, absolutely. I love that series and a
Did
bunch
you know
of
he's like
like obviously.
16 or something like that?
Yeah, I did know. I did know.
That's
Don't
cool.
remind me. I feel very depressed about it. But yeah, Kane Pixels and a lot of other YouTube channels that started doing similar things that I also love. But like what I like about the concept of the backrooms is also like just indefinite scale. You
Mm.
don't know where it begins, you don't know where it ends. When people try to define its scale, it's usually like absurd. It's like 5 times the size of the sun, you
Yeah.
know. So it's just it's a cool idea
Yeah, it just goes
for
on
scary
forever.
things.
I think for me, the scariest version of Backrooms is just like like just taking the original posts, like that what originated that whole concept, just taking that face value, like not taking any of the lore that has been created, just the concept of this endless structure that's all the same, and you're just gonna get lost there. And it's not about, oh, there's a creature chasing you, right? It's about, I'm just lost there forever and I'm never gonna find a way out. So for me, it cheapens it slightly when people do that. Oh, I'm going to level 241, and this one looks like a factory, and then I got to, and there's like people living there and creatures, and like I
Yeah.
just want to be lost in this. Well, I don't want to be lost, but the most terrifying to me is being lost in a completely sterile, endless space for some reason.
Yeah, I don't know. I have mixed feelings about the lore.
Mm.
You got to keep in mind that creepy pasta or whatever you want to call it, that little bit of scariness, that belongs to the Zoomers. The Zoomers have it. They
Yeah,
have it in their clutches, right? And they love lore because they're coming out of like Five Nights at Freddy's. They love lore.
yeah, that's
They're
true.
coming out of the SCP Foundation,
SCP.
right? And I can understand the appeal of it because naturally, like, if you're going to be wandering in this space, you're like, oh, well, what am I going to eat? What am I going to drink if I'm going to be lost here forever? And then if there is something to eat and drink, then like, what else lives here? Um, I I agree with you about the monster thing. I just think it would be funny if it was just like a dude instead of a monster that chases you and kicks your ass. Um, but I
Which
do
is so
like
good.
the yeah, yeah. I do like the idea of having like different expanses in the back rooms that look a little bit different, right? Because I really like the pool rooms, for example, the ones that are just like a pool
Mm,
that expands infinitely. It's basically every type of liminal space has its own version of the back rooms.
yeah,
There is something cool about that, right?
I like that. I'm making that's something that might be a little bit spoilery, but I am making something that has a bit of Backrooms DNA currently. It's something I'm going to be posting on Twitter shortly, and it's about exploring this underground structure essentially. And it all starts with a creepy door. So I definitely I wanted to mention that to you because there is going to be a story that starts with the door. So that's that little bit of inspiration from you, and also from the back rooms and and other architectural horror, I guess we could call it.
That's a great name for it. I love architectural horror.
Yeah, someone
Yeah,
mentioned Piranesi by Susanna Clark in chat. Yeah, fantastic book. It's all about a
what is that
person.
about?
It's about. I'm not gonna say a lot because it's one of those books that's better to go into blind. I'd say, but it's about this person living in this just endless house essentially, and just like walking through it. And I'm not gonna say a lot. It's a short book, and it's definitely I'll definitely recommend it if you like those creepy endless spaces, architectural horror. It's, I don't know, it's that niche subgenre that I love.
Yeah, Do you remember? This is kind of an older creepypasta that I think it got adapted into a Channel Zero series, No End House.
Yes, yeah, I remember that.
Yeah, yeah. I read some of that because it was like a multi-part creepypasta that I think was all by the same dude.
Mm.
I don't know. There was something, there's something happens that happens in the brain. I know how to use words to describe feelings. There's something that happens in the brain that's like when you think about like space not working right, and
Mm.
it's just like, yeah, that's so cool. Um, I don't know. Have you played what's that? Layers of Fear? Have you played that?
I haven't.
You might like it if you're into architectural horror.
Yeah, sounds fun. I'll note it down here. There's a fear. I thought you were going to say Control because it does have those. That have you played Control?
I have, yeah,
Yeah, it
yeah,
has that
and it does also
really
have.
cool structure, and so it has that brutalist style, which I think works very well for. Uh, Again, I'm not going to spoil too much, but the series I'm working on is going to have a lot of brutalism, and it's just going to be a lot of concrete.
Yeah. Yeah, the city I live in has kind of a brutalist town hall, and it's
Hmm.
just this big monolith. That's like it's like weird looking. It looks like a giant DMV in my opinion, and I guess it kind of is, right?
Yeah,
Um,
it's a town hall. So.
but yeah, it looks like some kind of like alien ship that landed.
Mm.
It is a very scary architectural style.
Yeah, I love it.
Sometimes,
Yeah,
yeah.
it's I was in New York not that long ago, a couple months ago, and there's this huge skyscraper that has no windows. It's just this massive concrete. I think it's some kind of like AT&T and T and other telephone companies have uh, like telecommunication stuff there because it's supposed to last like I think it's meant to last even like nuclear fallout and blasts and that kind of stuff. It's meant to be like super resistant for a skyscraper, and it's just this huge
Mm.
thing. You're walking through New York and suddenly you see this monolith of concrete, and it's just the only thing that pops out are some vents on the top, and I don't know, it feels so strange. I love that kind of stuff. I think the building in Control was probably based on that. I have to assume.
Yeah, because the building control was some kind of like government agency, basically, right?
Hmm.
I don't totally remember what the deal was, but it was like a secret government agency.
Yeah, like FBI, but paranormal, essentially.
Right.
Yeah,
Right.
that's their headquarters, and it's supposed to be this building that doesn't appear. It's not even there for most people. It's like only there if you search for it or something like that. And the few shots you see of the outside of the building, it definitely looks like that. I think they were inspired, and it's in New York, so they were definitely inspired by that building. The
Yeah.
oldest house. Yeah, someone said that in chat.
Don't you want to just slide down one of those vents into all those whatever is down there, server racks?
Oh my god. And yeah, it must be so dark in there. It's perfect for horror
You know,
content.
maybe feral. Yeah. There's something that's really odd because like okay, a windowless area that's pretty close to the ground, right?
Hmm.
That's like yeah, it's a little scary. It's not the scariest thing ever, but I
Hmm.
feel like as you go up, it gets scarier because like as you go up, you expect to have windows up there. You're like, why am I now like 2,000 feet in the air and there's no windows?
Yeah, it's very creepy. So
Yeah.
I wanted to ask you about, I guess, when did you start making horror, like mixing horror into your comics? Was that with the Halloween things, or was that earlier?
It's been kind of a long time project of mine. Like I think pretty early in, I did this series called Wacky Roommates, which was about a pair of wacky roommates, and it slowly devolved into like one of the roommates doing more and more horrible things in order to get out of this purgatory hell dimension that they both existed in.
No.
Um, and yeah, and that was like a while ago. I'm always tempted because I mainly just really like screwing with people.
Hmm.
So I'm always tempted when I make something that seems innocent at first to like make it kind of terrifying, right? Um, yeah. Uh, it's been a while. It's always been an interest of mine. Like ever since kind of childhood, even. I was very into like J horror and stuff as a kid.
Hmm.
Yeah. What would you say? What are your horror influences out of curiosity?
God, so a lot of it, I think I had this moment in like when I was a teenager, like I want to say early 2010s, where there was this huge explosion of creepypasta and internet horror. It was like the era of Slenderman. It was that, a lot of it was badly written, but a lot of it was pretty
Oh my
shitty. But
god.
it definitely like influenced me in a lot of ways. I think because a lot of it was using the internet itself. My favorites were the ones that were using kind of the method of delivery as part of the storytelling. So Ted the Caver, for example, was this. Don't know if you recall that one. Was this blog about a caver, well, like just some guy exploring a local cave, and it's like showing you his progress, and he disappears. And the blog is still out there. You can still. I think the blog is still up. You can still search for Ted the Caver and find it. And the fact that he's using the blog itself as part of the storytelling, I think was very interesting to me. Or things like ARGs where you're using this multimedia treasure hunt to tell a story is also like so fun. I like that. I like in the indirect methods of storytelling. It's something that I think about a lot. Is the type of horror, not the type of horror that finds you, but the type of horror that you discover or that you feel that you discover it. So things things like found footage typically apply to this. It's a type of horror where you don't feel directly threatened, like oh, I'm watching this huge monster running behind me, and the reaction is to run away, right? Uh, Instead, what I like is a type of horror where I've just discovered these files of someone who was studying this thing, and uh, it's things that happened a long time ago, and I'm just discovering through these little artifacts, through this footage, through this whatever was left over. I'm just discovering what happens. So instead of being directly as a reader, as a watcher, instead of being like directly in front of the horror, you have this layer that's protecting you, right? You're just reading about something that happened. So the reaction is very funny because instead of having the reaction of trying to run away from the horror, that's more direct. The reaction is to go deeper and like jump into this rabbit hole. I love that kind of stuff.
Yeah, no, I absolutely agree with you. There are a lot of indie games out there, like indie horror games,
Mm.
where the storytelling mechanic is you just finding notes that are like very, very frivolously written and left around the house. Like normal people do not leave notes, but no, these guys thankfully did. Um, and I love those. I love like indie horror games that are kind of quiet in that way, where
Mm.
you can like take your time. You're not getting chased by like a monster. You're not doing like the Minotaur and the Labyrinth thing
Mm.
where you're trying to like avoid something at all times. Um, yeah, because that's like a different feeling. That's like stress, you know?
Mm.
I feel like there's a difference between like stress and like dread. And
Yeah.
dread is something that you can build in like only like very gradually.
Mm. I like that. That's why a lot of my stories are just this strange artifacts from, or like photos from the 1910s, and it's just this thing that happened
Yes.
and had its beginning and end, and it just happened in the past, and you're just now like delving into this rabbit hole. Like my main, I guess we could call it series, which is Megalomorpha, the one with the big bugs. is all about that. It's all about like little stories that happened in the past that were self-contained, but each of them tells you a piece of the puzzle. So reading one makes you want to read the other. Well, my hope is that reading one makes you want to read the others and find out like what are these things, what's going on.
Yeah. No, I certainly wanted to read the others when I read one. I think it's a really cool series. I think my favorite thing from that is the statues that
Oh,
you've
that's one of my
edited, like the
favorites. Yeah.
yeah, the ancient those are like terrifying to me, right? More so than the what are they, Koopa or
Yeah,
whatever
the
the
pupas.
you know the yeah. Those are like scary, like them
Mm,
finding like a giant pupa. But like when I see that, I'm like, that could just be a big bug. That could just be a big old beetle.
mm.
That's kind of scary. But when I see like the humanoid, but with like the insect features, statues, the horns and stuff, I'm like, that is not something that I am comfortable with. That is not a comforting thing to exist.
Yeah, I think that one, like the biggest strength of it is that you never see the creature in it because it's something that happened in the Middle Ages or early. I think it was like, yeah, 15th century or something like that. But it's something that happened so long ago that the only thing you have left is like this old book and these statues. So you have to guess what happened. You can only assume what these people were thinking when they built the statues and how they were kind of worshipping these bugs that they found.
Yeah.
That's again, it's
Um,
like what you don't show
Yeah,
instead of what you
exactly. You
show.
don't show the actual.
Hmm.
You're removed from it, as you
Hmm.
said. You're removed from the events that were scary.
Exactly. Oh my god.
Yeah.
The next one might be the most direct one in terms of because it's going to be this huge mosquito and it's going to be a family like those old family portraits where everyone's kind of looking a bit bored. They just have this neutral expression and they're all just sitting down looking at the camera. I just imagine how cool it would be to just have a huge bug in the family portrait and everyone's just completely normal. Like this bug is part of the family. So it's not the fact that there's a huge bug in it by itself, which I hope I think I came up with a cool design, which I hope people will like. But it's the fact that people are reacting in this nonchalant way that I think is the horror in that one.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like wearing a little bow tie. It's clearly meant to be in the picture. Um
Yeah, I think within the story, I'm gonna call it like Uncle something, right? It's gonna be like this bug has brainwashed people into thinking he's part of the family just so he can feed on them because it's a big mosquito.
right. Yeah. Yeah, Uncle Mosquito. It's very obvious with the name that it picked. Um No, that type of stuff, like I love that type of stuff. That like uh especially to that veneer of normalcy on top
Mm.
of something that's clearly very abnormal. Um I'm trying to think of like other examples of it that I like. Nothing is immediately coming to mind, but I'll probably think of something as we're talking.
I love one of my favorite things of editing old pictures is that you can take a really normal situation where people are acting just pretty regular and add something strange that changes the context in a way that now the actions of these people are weird and abnormal. So you're just by changing the context, you don't even have to edit the people in it. You're completely changing what happened. One of the ones I did was already a pretty strange picture as a base. It was a picture of people standing and holding hands in front of a dead whale. So there were a bunch of beach whales in that picture. It must have been like a mass beaching that happened. One of those that happens sometimes. And there's this just big dead. It's not like a big whale, but like killer whale kind of size. So I changed the whale. I edited it into a mermaid. So now it's this dead mermaid on the floor, And now everybody's standing and looking at the camera and holding hands for some weird reason, and just putting their feet to their foot onto the dead mermaid, and it just changes the context in such a way that the picture was already pretty strange at the start, but now it's just weird as hell, and I love that. I love being able to just tweak a little thing and subtly that changes everything.
Yeah, no, I absolutely feel that. I feel like in that case, it's almost like less weird that they would be doing that with a mermaid than with a whale.
True.
That is
That's true as well.
yeah, that is a very strange picture. Yeah, I don't know. I know I've already brought up Trevor Henderson once, but another one that comes to mind from him was I forgot what he called this dude, but the car crash guy, the guy with the upside down face.
The upside down face. I don't know if he has a specific name. I think it's just the man with the upside down face. I might be wrong though.
Yeah.
But yeah, I love that one. It disappears, and every time there's an accident, right?
Yeah, he appears like in accidents, I guess. I don't think I don't think he's like an omen. I think he's like, or I don't know. I mean, I'll have to ask him, but I think he's like something that appears after it has happened, I guess.
Yeah, kind of a Mothman vibe, where Mothman has appeared when accidents have happened, and you have to wonder if he's trying to warn or if he's causing them in a way. So that's something I really like about Mothman and the whole mythos around it.
Yeah, I don't know. Mothman is a Mothman though. Well, like I don't know what that has to do with accidents in that case. I kind of get the upside down face guy, right? I kind of get that visual, but Mothman, it's like, bro, you're a moth.
Big bird, and that's a fun. I'm gonna put it out there. People are, now that people are listening to me, guys. Mothman is a bird.
Is Mothman a bird?
Yeah, it was described as a bird pretty much all the first sightings, and the name Mothman came in as, I guess, like the national press picked it up and wanted to give it a name. And at that time, there was this Batman villain that I think was called the Mothman, or it was something with moth. And they kind of used that, like the recognizability of that character, to create Mothman. And they just turned it into a moth for no reason. But everybody that describes it at first described it as this big bird with no head and two glowing red eyes. So I actually I like that, those like original depictions of Mothman, where it's just like this torso with two wings and two big eyes in the torso, because it's very goofy and I love it. I do also like the moth version of it, but it's my hot take. I'm putting it out there. Mothman is a bird, y'all.
That's not a hot take. That's a classic take in the literal way.
Yeah.
I have a friend, Sarah Anderson, who draws this series called Cryptid Club.
Yes, it's so good. I love that.
Yeah, Mothman is one of the ones, and she does draw it like that. I think her Mothman still does it have the moth things? Yeah. But it is basically a torso with two glowing red eyes.
Yeah, I love that. It's the best take on Mothman. Yeah, Nictofani also has a very good take on Mothman. Someone mentioned it in chat. Yeah, Cryptid Club is great. Nictofani has a great little Mothman. It's white.
Oh, right. Yes, I know Nick's Mothman. Yes.
It's also very cute. I love those cute takes on it. And yeah, Cryptid Club is great. I discovered that fairly recently, and which I don't know how I didn't discover it earlier, because it's super popular. It turns out I knew Sarah's comics, but I didn't know those specific ones. They're great. I think Siren Head also made appearances in those comics. I think it's mixing in little internet horror like Slenderman. I think is there as well.
Yeah, Siren Head is in there. Confirmed fact. It's actually one of the earlier comics, I think. And Slenderman, I'm sure. I think Yeah, I do have like an image in my mind of her drawing Slender Man, so I think it's in
Hmm.
there. I forgot where, but yeah. Um,
Yeah, there's one about Slenderman's complaining about how hard it is to get a suit fitted. I think that was one of or the one where Slenderman appears.
right,
It's great. That
right.
must be like a maximum horror clouds is having a creature you made appear on Cryptid Club. I think that's like
Oh,
you've made it.
yeah, absolutely. I would love to make a creature that people like. Um, I learned at one point that this one thing I made called Yo-Yo kind of got popular, but it got popular in like the worst way,
Oh
which is it
no!
got popular in like kids YouTube,
Oh
where
no!
there are all of these weird videos of people narrating Yo-Yo's origin story, which by the
Oh
way is
my god!
very bizarre and I don't know where it came from.
Oh no! It's not
But
by you. People made up or an origin story for Yo-Yo.
yes, exactly.
Oh my
And I
god!
learned only about this like years later, in which I looked this up on YouTube. I looked up Yo-Yo, and I was like, oh my god, there are videos with like hundreds of thousands of views
You're
about this
kidding!
character.
Oh my
Yeah,
god!
and it's all like kids YouTube stuff, or
Oh
I
my
assume
god!
it's targeted at kids. I don't know.
Hmm. I mean, yeah,
Um,
it's like the huge amount of Siren Head and just a lot of people just taking Trevor's stuff and making just lowest common denominator content on YouTube for kids, which must be very frustrating. I can only imagine having your stuff taken like that, or your creation kind of stolen away in that way. Mostly like Siren Head and Cartoon Cat, I think. But there's some surreal stuff.
I saw him complaining on Twitter. This is Trevor I saw, but I saw him complaining that somebody put Siren Head in a Backrooms video,
I
and
was
like he doesn't fit in the. He's too tall for the back room, so
you
he's
just
kind of
got
like
like this.
crawling in there.
Yeah. So okay. So that was actually I was talking to Trevor about that yesterday because we found another video of exactly that same thing. People putting Siren Head in the back room. So it's not like a one-off thing. Like several people have done the same thing. They've just taken whatever keywords are popular in the algorithm, and
Hmm.
they're just mashing them
Hmm.
together. And so we were looking at the comments on that other one. I think it's a different one from the one Trevor posted on Twitter. And it was the wildest stuff. It was like I assume 99% kids, just like some of them confused, asking like, "Oh, I didn't know Trevor's creatures were in the back rooms," or I didn't know there was a connection between those two things." And we were like, "No, there isn't." Oh my god.
Yeah, they have like. My head canon is they all have kind of like a condo in the back room somewhere. They're not there all the time, but like they have a place to stay if they are there.
Yeah. Every horror creature.
Yeah, one of them got scammed into like a timeshare in the back rooms.
And the backrooms is this infinite place, and they, for some reason, they all live in this tiny apartment, and it sucks. There's no
Yeah, yeah.
with no ventilation. It's the worst place.
Yeah, and the
cheap
rent is
rent
like
though.
nuts too.
Yeah, oh yeah,
What? Oh,
expensive
we
rent.
have different takes on this. We have
Yeah,
to because I thought they were all living together because like to live individually would be
true.
too expensive.
True. Yeah, then
Yeah.
I like your take better. This is very, very real estate is off the charts in the back rooms.
Yeah, exactly. It's nuts. It's kind of surprising because it's like infinite space, but no, no rent's still
You'd
like
think
several
so,
thousand
but
dollars. Yeah.
oh yeah, Dapper in chat says, "Remember people trying to make Siren Head into an SCP?" Oh my god, that was a
Did
whole.
they?
Yeah, they tried. So there was, I think, there was this. Not even. I don't think it even was an SCP article. I think it was someone that wrote it as a draft and never posted it to like the wiki, but it was out there on the internet. and YouTubers started picking it up and doing videos saying, "Oh, Siren Head is this new SCP," and they started talking about Siren Head as the SCP and taking that article as if it was like gospel, because they'll take any content that has the word Siren Head in it and they'll do a video about it, but. They just took it at face value, and there was this whole situation where Trevor had to come in and say, "Can you guys please stop this? People are saying my creature is part of SCP," and nobody wanted it. Not like the SCP wiki people didn't want this. Trevor didn't want this, and somehow a group of YouTubers just took it as facts and spread it to a bunch of kids who didn't have the full context. So it was a whole situation.
I think that someday there's probably going to be some kind of weird harassment campaign where they take some like middle manager in a small town and make him into like an SCP, and then it's then suddenly he's like, why is my contact info on this article? Please stop telling people scary stuff will happen if they call my phone.
Like they'll accidentally tap into some real world person's information.
Yeah.
Oh my god, I had a YouTuber contact me, and they were like, "Oh, I love your images, and I wanted to make a video using them." I was like, "Oh, that's fantastic! Like, absolutely. Like, which images do you want to use, or which? Because like maybe I can help you out with the script or something." And they were like, "Oh no, I just wanted to use your images in an SCP video." As the SCPs, you know, like, "Oh, these don't have images, so I just want to use yours." I was like, "No, dude, please." I tried to be nice about it, but still, it's like, come on.
Yeah. I really like. I'd love to make. Like, do you remember that? Well, yeah. I think you've read that one comic with the like multiple scary doors, right? Yeah. I really like. I was considering making that into a video. I decided at the time like that would take so long, right? And I'm just gonna like make it into a comic, post it as is. But I would love to make kind of a video in that vein, right? Because now I know a little bit of Blender. I learned a little bit of it for a series that I'm doing on Patreon. And I think I even made one of the door comics in 3D. Like I made a comic in which the entire floor of a room is this giant door, and like the narrator thinks it doesn't open, but it opens. And that whole comic was in 3D. I tried to like disguise it as 2D by basically turning off all of the good stuff that Blender has, which is surprisingly hard. Like turn off all the lighting, all the rendering, just like have like images in perspective, you know?
Oh yeah, okay. So you draw them and then you just pull them in as like just put them in the 3D space, right? Is that how you did it? Or did you create the door in 3D like with perspective and all?
The door was mostly 2D except for the door knob. Yeah. I think like that part is easy. The hard part is like getting Blender to not modify them in any way.
Yeah.
You know? Because
like
Blender
no
has
lighting,
all of this like
just leave it as it is.
Yeah, Blender is very smart about this type of stuff, almost like too smart. So.
Just gotta hit it with a hammer till it stops working right, and then you got it. But
yeah,
you
exactly.
definitely if you learn that technique, that would be very fun. Little video where it's just maybe like little clips of there's this door, and maybe it's just a camera moving a bit or getting closer to the door or something like that. You probably don't have to make it super no but if you just post it on YouTube or on TikTok or something, and it's this enormous audience that no other social media has, so it would probably do very well.
Yeah, I make like a series. Like basically, it's the narrator going from door to door, and he's got the shaky camera. And he's like, "Oh, this one is scary because it's made of flesh, and or whatever, right?" And then he goes from door to door, and then the last part is he turns around and he goes down a little corridor, and he's in the back rooms. And it's like, surprise! This was all in the back rooms canonically.
It was a
Please make
backroom
videos
video.
about this. Yeah.
All along. The
Yeah,
twist.
yeah, and Siren Head is also there, and
It
Siren
just
Head is
crawls out
actually
of
his
one door.
roommate. Yeah, yeah,
That would be the twist of the century. I mean, YouTube kids would love it. You can just put it there, apparently.
it would be my second biggest hit on YouTube, kids. I think.
After, what was it, Yo-Yo?
Yeah, 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 exactly.
Love that. What's with doors, by the way? How did the door stair thing happen or start?
How did the Doors thing start?
Hmm.
Um, I guess a lot of the early ideas I had were themed around doors, because I mean they are a scary thing, right?
They're perfect.
Like yeah, like having a door in your house that you don't really interact with, that's not something that bodes well, right? Because
Hmm.
doors are normally meant to be opened and closed. Having a door in your house that you don't interact with and you don't know what's behind it, that's even worse. That's even scarier, right? You
Absolutely.
can just imagine like any horror movie premise that is set in a house, right, that is haunted. There's always some scene where it's like zooming in on some door. It's like,
Absolutely.
right, yeah. So doors are like a scary thing, right? And I started making a few comics, and then I realized that uh, I really like making comics about scary doors,
Yeah.
and what may or may not be behind them.
It's very
Um,
good. I think there's a thing if it's in your house. Anything weird and uncanny happening in your house. It's like your place where you're safe. So being at like having something attack that safety in your own home is always like a very good start for horror. And then yeah, it's a mystery as well because the door will always cover like this something's going to be behind it, and the fact that there's this door in your house that you don't know is great. It's exactly how the series I was talking about starts. There's this door in my house. It's actually like the premise is I'm moving in with my parents for a while, and they just have this door in the basement, and it's been there since I was a kid, and it has no handle. It's just kind of this metal blank door with no handle or anything. It doesn't appear to have a lock or anything, but it's just locked shut, and nobody's ever been able to open it. So everyone just assumed it was a leftover from a previous somebody worked on the house, and they wanted to do something and they never went ahead with it, but there's this leftover door, something like that. People just assumed like the mystery was gone, and suddenly like I moved back in, and this I can't stop thinking about the door, so I decide to like go at it and open it, and like that's a great premise, isn't it?
yeah, yeah, it sets up like a voracious curiosity. You
Hmm.
know, like you as the viewer really want to know what's behind there. Um, that's what I like about it, about doors
Yeah.
as a premise. Um, I had this one idea. It's kind of it's incomplete. It's not quite where I want it to be. Do you mind if I like spitball it with you?
Yeah.
Okay. So a guy is dreaming,
Hmm.
right? And every night he has different dreams. But in every dream there is the same door. He goes up to that door and he twists the handle, and then he opens it, and then he hears a thunk and he wakes up,
Mm.
right? Eventually, he is renovating his bedroom, and he tears down part of the wall, and he discovers that that door actually exists. That door is inside of his wall. there is a pillar in front of it, and if you try to open it, it produces a thunk, right?
Mm,
So what's been happening is he's been waking
been
himself
hearing.
up, basically. Um, where I want to get from that premise is I want to get him to like laying in bed and not being able to sleep and just hearing this like thunk, thunk, thunk on the inside of his wall, right? Knowing that something is in his dream waiting for him.
I love
Um,
it.
but I haven't connected this stuff yet. I thought maybe like it would involve him being in a coma or something
Mm,
like that. But I don't really like that much because it's been done a lot. And I also get kind of the sense that it's almost a little bit insensitive, right? Because there are like people out there struggling with that, and yeah,
mm.
there are people struggling with everything. But I just don't really want to, because it's also like done a lot.
Yeah,
So
it's a
I'm
bit.
thinking
I
of
was saying like, yeah, it's a bit of a not a cop out, but something that's like an easy out. The coma. It's like at the point to the point where it's become a bit cliche in anything like psychological horror comments. Um,
right.
but I really like I think you can really exploit that the moment between dreams and waking where things in like things from the dreams blend into the waking world. I think that's always like a good space to set horror. Or when you're maybe that could be a good thing to put in somewhere. It's like when you're about to fall asleep and suddenly you have this falling sensation and you just jerk awake. I think everybody's felt that, right? I
Mhm.
think it has a name, a very pretentious name that people in medicine use, but I can't remember it right now. But in any case,
Yeah.
it's a thing that happens that like everybody's experienced, and having that coincide with the thump, where every time you're about to fall asleep, you suddenly feel this like falling sensation, and just the thump gets jerks you awake. Could be could be a fun
Yeah.
little detail in there.
Yeah. I was thinking also, um, this is kind of like another path that the story could take. This is another version of the story, you could say.
Hmm.
But there could be just a lot of water on the other side of that door that floods in, and then maybe he finds it at the bottom of a lake near his house or something.
Hmm.
Because I mean, water is scary too, right?
Yeah,
You don't want to
underwater.
have too
Anything
much of
underwater
it.
is super
Yeah.
feels oppressive. There's this pressure around you. Anything. Yeah, I like that as well.
Right. Um, Yeah, I don't know. It's something that I'm still workshopping. It's definitely not a 4 panel. This one's going to be maybe like a 12 panel.
Yeah. You need the bit of space to tell that one.
Yeah.
But I really like the idea of the door not being able to open, because it keeps you see, even if when you see the door in real life, you still have the mystery of there's this pillar in front of it. I can't open it. So hypnagogic jerk, or I don't know how to pronounce that, but someone said in chat that sensation, that's the name.
Wait, what is the hypnagogic?
Hypnagogic jerk. I don't know how to pronounce it. Hypnagogic. According to Mechtel in chat. Thank you, Mechtel. That's the sensation when
Thank
you
you,
when
Michael.
you feel like you're falling.
Hmm.
But I love that. There's so much many different stories you could tell with just a door. Just taking that little, I guess, limitation, like just that exploring that one concept. And you have
Mhm.
done so many cool things. I think one of my favorite ones is the door that has several handles, and one handle will transport you, like you will appear. I don't know how far away to the east. The other one will bring
Yeah.
you to the west, and there's one that's below, and you don't want to touch that one.
Yeah. That was one of the ones that people got mad about because like everybody was like, so where does it go? And I'm like, I, I don't know. I don't know,
You
man.
figure that out,
Oh,
dude. What's
yeah,
kilometers behind your below your house? Hell, probably. Come on.
probably hell or something worse. I don't know. But there are some people, like I've seen people on Reddit take a premise like that and basically use it as a writing prompt. And I love reading stuff like that. Like
Oh,
when
that's
somebody
great.
takes an idea and expands it, right?
I
I
love
think
that.
for that one specifically, yeah, in the Reddit thread for that, like somebody expanded it a lot.
Yeah, I love people. I think there's very few things as cool for an artist than seeing other people be inspired by what you do and create their own things. Like not even
Hmm.
like sometimes like uh, not necessarily copying, but like I don't know if Trevor feels that when he sees Siren Head in the Backrooms videos, but people like actually being inspired and doing their own thing and saying like, "Hey, you inspired me to do this," is incredible. So it must be very cool that people take what you do and do it as a writing prompt and expand it in their own way.
Yeah, and I'm like also very impressed by it because like my specialty is writing like 4 panels, and there are people whose specialty is writing like 4 pages,
Mm.
right? And I read that and I'm like, that is amazing. Like that is amazing that they managed to do that. I could never, or at least not without like years of practice, right?
Mm.
But there's some people that are just like their writing just pulls you in, just sentence after sentence. It's amazing.
Yeah, yeah. It's I think everybody has their strength. I think both you and I are good at telling short stories and leaving like a lot to the imagination because I think that's also like uh, something that you can you got to practice. But telling short stories, it's its own beast. I think.
Yeah. Um, yeah, I do you go to the No Sleep subreddit ever?
Yeah, it's been a while since I've read stuff from there, but a few years ago I used to visit it way more.
Yeah, I'm kind of on and off with it too. But there are some like there's some amazing stuff I find on there. Like I remember reading a really good one about the stairs in the woods. You
Mm,
know that whole idea.
I love that.
Uh, yeah, a lot of it is kind of silly.
But
A
it's
lot
the
of
I
it
think
like
it's the internet equivalent of telling stories around a campfire. I think it has a lot
yeah,
of
and
that
that
same.
rules.
Yeah, I love that.
That rules. A lot of it kind of like I noticed that like the longer a creepy pasta goes,
Hmm.
the more likely it is to start turning into kind of a shonen anime type plot, right? Um, like like I don't know if that makes any sense at all to anyone in the chat, but I remember that I remember this one creepy pasta that was like it was like 5 hours long, and I listened to all of it. I listened to it on YouTube, and it was basically about this like SCP type holding facility for like really powerful monsters. Except what happened is they all got out and then they started fighting each other, and it became kind of like a DBZ tournament of a bunch of like of a bunch of creepy pasta monsters
Oh
just
my
throwing
god.
down. They're like tussling, right? Um, Maybe somebody in chat even knows what I'm talking about, but yeah, the longer anything goes, it either turns into like a shonen or it turns into kind of a teen drama, as what happened with like
Yeah,
Slender Man and
I
like
used to
Jeff the
love that.
Killer, you
Oh my
know?
god, Jeff the Killer was that was like the most teenage of like just inherently teenage of creepypastas, and I think a lot of like your typical like edgy teens latched onto it, so it was like a wellspring of cringe, but like in a fun way. I love this kind of stuff. I think everybody's had a time when they were cringe, and it's fun to reminisce about that.
Oh yeah, reminisce. What do
or
you mean, dude? Yeah, it's ongoing for me,
it's
baby.
ongoing.
Going strong.
But yeah, oh my god, I don't know if you recall reading those those early creepypastas. You know, your Jeff the Killers and your yeah,
Yeah, the haunted NES cartridge ones.
oh my
Ben
god,
Drowned. Ben Drowned. That was
Ben Drowned
yeah.
was, oh my god, the writing was lousy. It was, I read it recently, fairly recently. I read it again just to see how it held up, and it did
Mhm.
not. We also a few streams ago, I was doing this like long marathon stream, and we did this like as one of the goals we had, reading creepypastas. So we read the Russian sleep experiments. Do you recall that one?
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. I know that one. I know that one.
It was so
That's a.
edgy. It was so
It was
edgy.
so it.
Oh my
Yeah.
god.
The scientific method was not in the room in that creepypasta. Like, I don't know what they were doing with that experiment. I don't know in what sense it was an experiment.
They just wanted a creepy premise, and yeah, there's this one part at the end where there's just this one subject left, and suddenly he turns like super uh, not only conscious, but he starts speaking in this super edgy, like just edgy monologue about how I am the thing you escape from in your dreams when you lie awake, when you lie at night, and it was just so over the top. Oh my
No, but
god.
see, that wasn't him talking. That was the demons at that point. So that was whatever lies beyond our thin veil of consciousness.
Exactly.
So yeah.
It's
Um,
very funny.
you, credit where credit is due, though. I feel like all of those like creepy pastas, maybe like we look back on them and they don't really hold up,
Hmm.
but they have a lot of that DNA that went on to be used in like way more like coherent projects and like way
Yeah.
longer works, way more fleshed out things.
Hmm.
So like there's the line of inspiration, I feel like definitely goes through them.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. Like there's that typical like cursed image story. There's the typical one is dog or smile.jpg, the one with the smiling dog, like kind of looks like a pig.
Hmm.
Those
Hmm.
classic
Hmm.
cursed images from the internet. That I also read recently in that stream, and the story was just, you know, it was not well written, it was not that good, but just the premise itself of this, you know, this cursed file that will circulate on the internet, and you might come across it, and if you do, it just takes over your mind or whatever. But it's, I feel like I can't criticize that. I'm literally doing stuff like that right now. That's in a way, you know, that seeped into my brain. Not the story itself, but like that concept. It seeped into my brain, and it now shows up in what I do. So that's, yeah, credit where credit is due. There's a lot of fun, cool concepts in those early creepypastas.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And back then they weren't so proliferated that you couldn't be like, maybe it's real. I don't know.
Yeah.
I can't reverse image search this and find that it's like an edited picture of a very normal dog. Maybe it's real. Right? So like you didn't have like the proliferation of information yet
Mm.
to immediately like shed light on what it actually is.
Yeah, it also was there was this whole layer of anonymity back then, where all these stories, they just came from the ether. You didn't know who wrote them, which in a way I think kind of sucks. And I'm glad that nowadays people will recognize the authors of cool horror arts, like you know, those backroom videos. Um, everyone's, if they just appear on the internet and nobody knew who did them, maybe they would feel more realistic. But then the person who made them and put all that effort in just will never see the results and the praise that they deserve. But there was this whole like the layer of anonymity as as a young teenager, it helps put that down in your mind of maybe it's real. We don't know where it comes from. Yeah, your good old cognitive hazard stories. That's a lot of SCPs have that.
Yeah. Maybe. Yeah. Yeah. Maybe as they were like posting the thing that they posted, it got them. You know, the curse got them, and all the last thing they managed to do is just hit enter on that post, and there was like a blood splatter on the screen. Um, that's
I love that.
that's what I like to imagine with all those creepy pastas. Um, I think the scariest image, or at least like the image that had the biggest influence on me when I was a kid and looking at this stuff,
Hmm.
is I don't remember where I saw this. It must have been like the export on 4chan or something like that, some weird place.
Hmm.
But there was this photo that looked like a normal photo. It was just like kind of a dark room with a countertop in front, right? And then like a plant and a couch, and then on the far end there was a window looking out into a yard, right? And I'm looking at this photo, and I'm like, this is just a normal room. What's so scary about this? Nothing. It's a normal room. And then my eyes slowly adjust, and I realize that behind the counter, and just slightly shorter than the counter, so she's completely covered by it, there's this creepy, creepy girl. This horrible monster girl standing there, right? And I'm just like, right. Like I was so scared as a
Love
child. Like that image was just burned into my brain. I probably couldn't find it again, to be real, but like just the fact that I genuinely was shocked by it, even though it was there the whole time. That was like there was like something to it, you
Yeah,
know.
yeah, yeah. I love that kind of thing where it takes a few seconds to find it, so it gives you that jump scare feeling with one still image. That's something that's hard to achieve because you got to reach that balance
Absolutely.
between hidden and visible. If you hide it too much, nobody's gonna find it. If you make it too visible, it's the first thing people are gonna see. So you gotta like. Uh, a lot of it is little tricks, at least for what I do. I don't know how this person did it, maybe it was just good framing. But uh, what I do, for example, is you'll selectively add contrast and light up, and light up the light areas and darken the dark areas in the parts of the image that you want people to look at first. So maybe you want to misdirect people and make them look at some background detail first and just putting a lot of contrast in it. And then when they realize there's nothing there, they'll start scanning through the image, and that's how they find the. So a lot of it is little tricks, really. It's just tricks of the eye.
Yeah, that is smart though. That is smart. Um, that's something that's like a whole science, and I don't know anything about it. Like, what do you draw the eye to first? I know I got a little bit into digital painting at one point,
Hmm.
so I know that like the thing that you expect people to look at is the thing you want to render most. So like if you're drawing a person and you expect people to look at the face, like put like 50% of your effort into just drawing that face.
Hmm.
Everything else can be kind of this blurry thing, right?
Yeah.
Um, but it's very cool. It has a lot of horror applications, like this science, whatever you want
Yeah,
to call it.
guiding the eye. I mean, there's a lot of things that go into it. I think faces. Our brains are so good at focusing on faces. Then when you have a visible face, people will latch onto that really quickly. But then it's also in a
Yeah.
picture that doesn't have like a big central thing. People will tend to go for the area with the highest contrast or with the highest like detail. We'll
Mhm.
just kind of tend to focus on that. Sometimes there's that whole composition thing that a lot of artists know how to do very well. I'm not that good at it, but if you can have compositions that kind of draw your eyes towards a certain thing. The easiest one is like the corridor that you're just seeing up front, and you're seeing the lines going guiding you into the end of the corridor. So it's like where your eyes tend to go. But there's so much into it. For me, it's literally I don't go at it with any science. It's just I go with vibes, with whatever feels right. I'm going like this. It feels like adding some contrast that will guide people's eyes there. So I'll just try that, and I don't know if it works. I hope it does.
Yeah. That's how they approached that sleep experiment too, and you see how that turned out. Um, it turned out very, very scary. So I think you should keep going. You should keep going the way you are.
Exactly. Trial and error. It's the most scientific method.
Exactly. There was this one comic where I tried to do something kind of advanced. This was a disaster comic. I hated everything about this one. But what I tried to do is it was a comic in which like somebody was like looking for a ghost, right, in a house. It was just 4 panels of them looking for a ghost, and they were shining their flashlight at various objects, right, looking for the ghost. It was from first person, so it was kind of like a found footage comic. And the bit is the ghost is in the whole comic, because if you look at the 4 panels next to each other, you can see the way they're shining their flashlight and the objects in it. They make kind of an eye, half a mouth, half a mouth. The whole comic is a face, right?
I love that.
Nobody knew what I was talking about.
Oh,
Like I
nobody got
posted
it.
it.
Oh no.
Nobody. Well, very few people got it. And then I posted a video kind of jokingly explaining in a condescending way, but it was meant to be like a joke, right? I'm like, I can't believe you don't see this. Here's the eye, right? And people thought that video was serious, so then they got mad at me about that.
Oh, there can't be any nuance on the internet. People will take it face value.
Yeah, no, I mean, every step of that was my fault, though. like the fact that the comic was just incomprehensible. And believe me, I've looked back at this comic. I was like, yeah, I wouldn't get that. Like if I didn't know the face was there, I wouldn't get that. And the fact that I posted, yeah, and I didn't make it clear that the video was a joke. So it was just bad.
No, I mean, it's there's always going to be someone that takes the joke too literally, right? Or that doesn't get the irony of it, or the tone of it. But yeah, I think it's a very cool idea, to be honest, to have that the ghost kind of hidden in the comic. So
Yeah.
it's definitely something that, like, as the idea itself, I don't know. I don't. Or I haven't seen it or I don't recall it, but I don't know how easy it was to see the face. But I think it could still be, the idea still has legs, I would say.
Yeah. Yeah. It has legs, or at least it has eyes. It's like an okay. It was. I think it's an okay idea. Like if I had to approach it again, I might do it a little bit differently. I don't know how, but I would want to do it maybe even across multiple comics. Try something cool like that. Yeah. The challenging thing, like one of the challenges about this type of stuff is that I have to post on like a million different platforms, right? So anything I make, it can't just be compatible for Instagram, for example. It has to be compatible for Twitter, Reddit, Instagram, Tumblr, Facebook. And all of those have different optimal posting styles. So I do feel kind of limited sometimes by the fact that these comics have to be modular, right? I can't do a whole lot of fancy panel layouts, for example, because then it wouldn't work for Instagram, where
That's true.
Where it becomes very hard to read if you have multiple panels per image.
Yeah, because you have to like put each panel as one image optimally, right?
Right.
Like
Yeah.
as a gallery.
Yeah, sucks.
Yeah. Yeah, Instagram is something I used to post on Instagram before I did horror. I just did like images that were more surreal and style, but I wasn't doing stories. I was just doing images. So I posted to Instagram because it's a more image driven thing. And now I'm posting primarily to Twitter because I want to post a story and I want to have text like visible on my image. And on Instagram, text is so skippable that there's just it's not a great place to tell a story, and you can't pace it either, because you can post, if you have a series of images, like I would do a thread on Twitter, you can present them in order and each of them with a little bit of text to kind of pace it the way you want. On Instagram, what I have to do is just post them as one gallery and then have all the text below it, and you don't know how people are gonna see it. They might see all the images and then scroll down through the text, or vice versa. So it's hard to adapt that kind of thing. I understand the headache of that.
Yep. Honestly, like, one of the cool, and I went back to this recently, but have you ever heard of a story that I think is called Father's Long, Long Legs or something like that?
I don't think so.
That is like a story where it's coded, right? It's a web page, basically. And in order to move on to the next sentence, you have to click some feature of some like word in a sentence, right? And sometimes it has.
Oh no, I think it got stopped. Hold on, let's wait to see if Shen
branches.
Oh, there
like,
you
for
go.
example.
So it stopped for a second.
Oh.
Yeah, you were saying when it stopped that you had to click on one element of the page. And
yeah, you have to click on like a word.
Yeah.
And sometimes it branched. So sometimes it would say like, something, my father, my brother, and myself, right? And then you could click on my father, and he would like extrapolate a little bit, and my brother, and he would extrapolate, and then myself, and he would extrapolate. And then after you've clicked on them, you would go on to the next part. And it did a lot of cool effects. There were like effects going on. I think that is like the ideal way to tell a story like this, where you just have like
liberty. Like you can just do anything.
Yeah. And Ted the Caver was in that situation too. It was presented as a blog.
Yeah.
It's just hosted externally, right? Social media, not a fan. I know it's my whole career, but I hate it.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, I'm with you there. We kind of have to live with it, because you have to go where people are, and everybody's on social media. If you have this external website, and I have it, and I post all my stories there, and I can place them however I want. I can extend them because I don't have character limits on Twitter. I can, I have that full freedom, but just a tiny portion of people will read the stories there. Most people will read them on social media, where they're kind of like thrown at them.
Yep.
So we have to live with that. It's a bit annoying, but
yeah. I mean, like, maybe I'm being too optimistic about the internet kind of going back to something more decentralized, but like maybe not forever. I hope not forever. Because social media, like, it'll do such bad things sometimes, where even if you link to your external website, it'll like kill the engagement of your tweet, because they don't want users to leave the website, right? And it's just like, that sucks so bad.
You gotta just jump through hoops every time you post a link on Twitter. You have to so it used to be that you could just post links on Twitter. At some point, every time you posted a link, it would start like nerfing your post. So you had to post it on the reply. And that, since people started doing that, now if you posted a link in the reply at the same time as the tweets, it also got nerfed. I don't know if exactly the same amounts. So you have to post the first one, and and then on a separate tweet post a second one. At least that's as far as I've heard. It's silly. It keeps changing, and you have to just jump through hoops to keep the algorithm happy. It's so stupid.
I also like you referring to this stuff as being nerfed. It's a very gamer way to put it.
I don't know a better way to put it. It's like suppressed maybe would be, but nerf sounds better.
No, I like nerfed. I like nerfed. Are you into like horror games at all?
Yeah. I think my favorites tend to be indies. I mean, there's not a lot of AAA horror games, to be honest. So you have like your
not a lot.
Alien Isolation, stuff like that, which I think is my favorite AAA or AA. I don't know how big the team was. I think it was pretty big. But it's that's like maybe the best example for me, or my favorite example of like bigger horror games. But then I just love those tiny experimental games that just go with a weird aesthetic and try to, in the indie space, you have to compete in weirdness a little bit and like being the odd one out, because that will call people's attention. If every game looks the same, people won't really like look at it for 1 second because it's just so saturated. So I love that it gives an incentive to people to just create these weird experimental games that just, it works with horror because these weird aesthetics or these weird styles will tend to look uncanny. So
Yeah, I've been playing these games from this developer called Chilla's Art recently. He's got a lot of games. It's usually about some kind of like haunted location or happening. It's very like J horror-y. I mean, I think the developer is Japanese, so that makes sense. But like, it's got like the vibe of what you would understand to be a J horror movie, right? And he does a thing there that I think Puppet Combo does too sometimes, where
Puppet Combo has some great ones.
yeah, where like the texture will swim on the model a little bit, and it just looks horrible. And I mean that in like a very complimentary way. It just looks terrifying.
Oh, have you played Moondown?
Yes, I have. I have. I had like a very bad computer at the time, so I got stuck, and I gave up on. I don't want to spoil it for anybody, but I played a good amount of it, like a few hours in. How do you like that one?
I loved it. I love the first like the folk horror vibes, which I think are. I love anything folk horror. With even like the realism that what they voiced it completely in these super specific language from this area, that kind of thing. And then the best thing is that all the textures are hand drawn. It's all pencil. For anybody in chat that doesn't know this game, I'm gonna write it in chat so you guys go check it out. All the textures are just drawn with a pencil by the creator who's made the whole game. So it has that really handcrafted aesthetic. It's great. It works very well at black and white as well with the folk horror vibes.
Yeah, I should probably pick that game up again because I was playing it at like 480 pixels. So there was only a certain extent to which I could appreciate the textures and stuff, right?
Yeah.
But I still like really enjoyed it. I also I like in those games where you can just do stuff. Like in Mundown, you could like make coffee, and it's just like something you can do, right? So I love that type of stuff.
Yeah, it gives you that little, I guess it's like grounding thing that feels, it's like this kind of safety feeling that I think it's quite. I love that. The quieter, like we were saying before, more subtler horror games where you're more like exploring something and you have and you can have a quiet moment sometimes and feel safe for a moment, because that puts some contrasts. It contrasts with the horror later.
Right. Yeah. I think my favorite like test of indie horror games is usually I'll like go to the first light switch I see and I see if I can flip it. And if I can flip it, listen, if I can't flip it, that's fine. Might still be a very good game. But if I can flip that light switch and turn the light off, that's going to be a banger. That's going to be so good. That's going to be such a good game.
And they're going to play with that. At some point the light is going to turn off. You're going to have to rush like a maniac to the light switch.
Absolutely. Yeah.
It's great.
Have you played any of...
Yeah, go ahead.
I was just going to ask if you played any of the Dread X collections.
Yes. I played... I think just a little. I think I played the first ones. Well, I should pick up the other ones as well. They were good. I recently played this. It was this tiny horror game. It's called Rojo. If you guys want to look it up on itch.io, it's this tiny 20 minutes horror game set in. So you are exploring the house of in Spain of a Francoist kind of nostalgic, like a Spanish fascist, basically, who's been killing people or has been doing something weird, and you're kind of trapped in his house, essentially. It was it's kind of a silly game because I was playing on stream. I was explaining all the tiny Spanish references, like this chocolate powder, like for chocolate milk, that's very typical in Spain, or that it was full of these little things. But what I enjoyed is that they gave you this flashlight, and it's one of those wind-up flashlights, so it kept turning off every so often, and you had to press a button to just and wind it up. And it was such a silly thing, but it's just like at regular intervals it would go out, suddenly your flashlight would go out, and I thought it was this tiny mechanic, but it worked very well. And every time you had to spend a little while just winding it up again, doing that little sound.
Oh, that's like a brilliant mechanic. I'm trying to think of other stuff that did stuff like that. I'm thinking about what was that one series? Outlast. Outlast has the camera, and the camera can run out of battery, right?
That's true.
Right. Yeah, but the camera is your only way of seeing in the dark. It has like the dark vision. So like that sort of like a resource management, like you can't always see thing going on. Yeah.
Yeah, that was very well for games and to build up tension. Because it can go out of the worst moments. And that's when that happens. And that's perfect. I was wondering. Oh, I think it went out for a second. Let's. Shen has been taken by the doors. There we go. You're back.
There we go. Yeah. The doors have given me back, but only temporarily. They have allowed me to.
Is it the same Shen that was here before? We'll never know.
Yeah, no, it is the same Shen. I did see a different Shen. I did see Siren Head as well. Those doors lead to the back rooms, right?
That's so cool.
But the different Shen was like, yeah, he was like, nah, you can just go back, finish the stream.
I'll be back later to terrorize you.
Because you're going to be replaced by me. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
That's nice. That's nice, actually.
Yeah.
That's really respectful for your doppelganger. But also exactly what a doppelganger would say, so take that with a grain of salt.
Yeah, I mean, just because you're your doppelganger doesn't mean you're rude. Right? I want to like interrupt.
I wanted to ask. I think you tweeted the other day. Like, I don't believe in ghost stories, but I like to pretend for a while that I really agree with that. I'm a big I guess I fall in the skeptic camp with pretty much anything. I do a lot of art related to like conspiracy theories and cryptids and ghosts, and I in real life I don't believe any of it. I just love the the stories they tell. It's like modern folklore. So I like to,
Hmm.
for a while, like when you're reading a folklore story, you know it's not real, but you 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 pretend it is for a while, and it's much nicer. So I wanted to know like your take, like how would you position yourself in between full skeptic and full believer in, you know, ghosts and cryptids and paranormal? Where would you put yourself?
I think I'm very much in the like full skeptic
Hmm.
direction. Like if you really like got to the core of my beliefs, like what do I really believe? What would I like bet my life on? I'm very much like in the full skeptic camp. You
Yeah.
know, I think there's probably like any sort of like supernatural sighting. There's probably some kind of psychological um, or natural explanation for it.
Hmm.
And keep in mind that explanation may itself be kind of scary, right? Like
Yeah.
nature is scary sometimes, psychology is scary, but I'm very much full skeptic. But I also like to sort of like, you know, hey, let's like suspend disbelief for a little bit
Yeah. I agree.
and think like, hey, you know, maybe there's something there that we can't quite prove just by seeing it, right?
Hmm.
Um,
Yeah, I love
that
to
we can't do a.
engage that kind of thing. There was this very dapper in chat mentions Mock, who's a mountain creature caught running behind Google car. I don't know if you recall that one because it was a big thing for a
Mhm,
while. That was like, I think it was early 2020,
mhm,
and somebody on Reddit posted to one of the conspiracy Reddits posted a picture from Google Street View from a road in the middle of the woods in Canada. I don't know what they were looking for, but they started zooming in and saw this little running creature. It only appears in one picture, and it seems like it's some kind of creature just running. And they did like they pointed it out in this subreddit and zoomed in and tried to do like just blow up the contrast so we could see it better. And it was just they called it mountain creature running behind Google car. And
mhm,
so I did a 10-minute sketch of it where I just sketched over it and did a couple drawings because it seems like this. It to me, I you had to like kind of interpret the pixels, of course, but it seems like this kind of cute salamander-like thing that only has two legs and has no arms. And I just did the
mhm.
sketch of it, and then suddenly every horror artist started doing images of mock, which we started calling it mock because mountain creature running behind Google car is very long.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
There's a link in chat for the people who want to check that out. But it this tiny moment where you kind of just engage this just random cryptid conspiracy theorists who's trying to find cryptids in Google Maps. And it turns out I researched it and found the Reddit account that posted it, and they had been posting a bunch of this kind of stuff. Like they were zooming in Google Earth to random spots in the ocean and seeing this kind of shape that was probably just some waves or whatever, and saying like, "Oh, there's this lake creature, this huge creature in the ocean." Uh, so, I mean, they were just doing that. It was very funny, and it's cool to engage with it. Just take it for real for a second.
I I think also when it comes to the ocean and also space, but to an even greater degree the ocean,
Hmm.
I'm willing to believe that pretty much anything is down there,
Yeah.
because I'm not going down there. I don't know what's down there. It's dark, and frankly, I don't want to know. That's not for me.
I
That's
love
between whatever is down there and God. Um,
Exactly. I love underwater
yeah.
horror. Those tiny unmanned submarines, SOV, I think is the name,
Uh-huh.
that just go super deep into the ocean, and they just have this one camera in like the kind of oppressive darkness of the bottom of the ocean, where even just a strong flashlight won't really reach very far. It kind of feels foggy down there. And
Mhm.
the videos, every time you see a video of a huge squid or something like that seen like living down there and just getting close, kind of inspecting the submarine, thinking it might be food or something, and they just can't get close and pass in front of it. It is terrifying to me because it literally just pops out of nowhere, even though you have a flashlight and you're supposed to be seeing things. Yet suddenly it just appears in front of the camera, and that's just scary as hell.
Yeah, they probably all the stuff living down there probably just senses like the water movement and is like, oh, there's something moving right there. Or they have
Yeah,
like very specialized eyes.
yeah, because they can't
Um,
really rely
yeah,
on lights unless they produce it, which some do. It's
right.
just such an alien
Um,
world.
it is. Yeah. That and like real aliens, I'm also maybe willing to believe sometime. Well, not like real aliens that like visit Earth, but
Hmm.
like receiving a transmission that's like from space that's like kind of intelligent. I'm
Yeah,
like, okay, that might be. You know, I'm not gonna say 0% chance that that's something.
yeah. I mean, I think it's very likely, just a numbers game, right? That there is some civilization out there, but it's a very fun question to ask. Like, if there is, why haven't we been contacted yet? Maybe we're insignificant to them, right? But
Maybe
it's
we're the creepy ones, the creepy guys.
but yeah, I think underwater and yeah, space, like you said, like those unexplored areas are perfect settings for horror because there's always going to be a mystery down there. It's or out there, you know. And why
Yeah.
things like your back rooms or those kinds of things also work very well is because they feel unexplored. They feel like this huge new universe where you can set a bunch of stories or a bunch of horrors if you want.
Yeah. And also they make the place where we live seem very small, right?
Hmm.
So like when it comes to space, the Earth is very, very small. I realize that's like a subjective measure, but
Hmm.
like there are a lot of things out there that are bigger than the Earth. And there's infinite space out there that's bigger than the Earth. And so similarly with the back rooms, like the back rooms is like I think it's like meant to be basically the majority of the universe,
Hmm.
and like our area is called like the front rooms or something, and it's just a very small area where we live, right? So it basically like we are a tiny thing floating in a huge area
Hmm.
that in itself is terrifying, and I feel like that's why space is scary. That's why the back rooms are scary.
Yeah. Yeah, like Sagi Coffee says in chat that yeah, the same reason like aliens not contacting us might be the same reason we don't talk to ants, right? They just we are one in a million maybe. There's a ton of civilization like us, and it's just not worth talking to us unless we get to a point where we're a contender for them or anything like that. So
Yeah,
I
we need
like
to
the
like
idea of something so huge and uh, kind of expensive like that you're just insignificant to them. That's always scary.
yeah, we need what I feel like we need to do to have some success with aliens is we need to like all walk in a single file into their kitchen and like steal a whole banana. Uh, just just carry out a whole alien banana and carry it back to Earth. And now we just very adorably we have their alien banana now, and they'll have to be like, "Ooh, ooh, they got our banana from our alien picnic."
I love that. That's still something that Alien Stories haven't explored that aspect yet. We gotta
Yeah.
get to it. I like your that one alien character that you did with the
Alien Man?
alien man, yeah, with the thing T-shirt. I love that. That an alien would come in and be kind of inspired by the thing.
Yeah, because he's like, so like the story behind that is he doesn't know human culture
Hmm. Oh no, the door took him. The door again.
When he arrives on Earth.
Yeah, I forgot.
Am I back?
You're back.
Am
You're
I
back.
here?
You're back.
Okay, good. It's
You are
still
your
not the
doppelganger, whoever.
No. It's still normal me. Um, yeah, the so basically like he starts looking for media about aliens to figure out his place in the world, right? And the time when most media featuring aliens was produced was like the 70s and 80s. That was the big boom of like aliens related media. So he gets really into all of those movies and he bases his like villain persona on that,
I love
right?
that.
On being like a scary classic alien that's always like defeated in the end somehow. But that's why he wears that t-shirt.
I love it. And the thing is, I mean, it's one of my favorite movies, so I can't not like that character.
The Thing holds up so well, like
yeah.
compared to other movies from that era. It holds up amazingly.
Yeah, the effects are great, and just the story itself. Like, you don't need to be showing a constantly horrifying aliens, although there are a lot of those. It's about that whole paranoia of who Among Us could be. Oh my god, I said the word. I can. The chat in a few seconds is going to be all about Among Us, but who Among Us could be the alien? That's always a.
You've made a mistake here,
made a
Val.
mistake, yeah.
It's done. It's done. This is what the stream is about
late.
now.
It's too late.
Yeah.
It's like some sort of internet virus, some kind of brain virus that when you say the words Among Us or you do a little character with a circle in the face area, that's an Among Us.
I think I like drew a circular door at one point. It was like a half circle, and people were calling it an Among Us. And that like wasn't even. It didn't even have a window that looked like the visor, right? People just saw that shape and they were like, "Yeah, that's Among Us. That is the video game that I know."
It's like it's not even the video game anymore. It's become kind of this infectious meme that's seeped into the the image recognition part of our brains. And suddenly everything that kind of looks like a semicircle or that has two legs. Oh my god, I did art of the Fresno Nightcrawlers, and they're just these two pant legs, right, with a little head. And I think half the comments were Among Us.
Yeah. Yeah, I do not envy or I did not envy internet artists at the peak of that meme.
Yeah.
I guess.
It's still out there though. Like it had a definite peak, but it's still in people's brains, seeped in.
Yeah.
There's certain, I think, horror artists. We have this certain like collection of comments that we always get, and they kind of change over time. The Among Us ones are the latest trend, but I think there are a bunch of horror artists in chats. I think they can all confirm that they've heard a million times the "me at 3 a.m." Looking for beans or eating shredded cheese at 3 a.m. Call the SCP Foundation.
I like the looking for beans variant of that because it implies that you don't know where the beans are. Like you have to search around your house
looking for the beans.
Yeah. Yeah, I imagine you get a lot of like nopes and stuff like that, right?
Well, every time you do a bug, it's like kill it with fire is the most typical one. Like, come on, leave bugs alone.
Yeah, right. Leave them alone.
It got the SCP ones got to a point where I have this Discord that's generally like horror art Discord, and a bunch of people from SCP, like the wiki, the writers and artists from there, are also there. and it happened to be that one of the people running the SCP Twitter accounts were in there. So now every time I get an annoying "is this an SCP" comment, I literally tag them on Discord, and they will reply to to them in like nope, or just some silly joke, but it just makes it so much funnier.
Yeah.
To just have like the official SCP with their check mark replying to the reply guys on Twitter.
Yeah. I don't get how SCP works as like, because I don't get if it's like an organization. It is a community project, right? But it's also kind of an organization. I remember that there was this dude trying to copyright it a while ago, and I don't think that succeeded. But it's like a
so there's it's really like it's 100% community run, and there's some admins and stuff that will like just take care of the wiki, but anyone can just post a story there, and I think as long as it doesn't get like negative upvotes, it'll stay up. There's like some kind of review process that I'm not super familiar with, but it's essentially just anyone can contribute to it, which is why it's just expensive and ridiculously huge in scope, where you're never going to be able to read the full thing. But since it's pretty like decentralized in that way, and nobody really owns like it's everything you post on there is under a CC license, where you can reuse it with credits, right? But you can't even reuse it commercially. So people have made games and all sorts of things. So people have definitely tried to take advantage of that. There was that one guy that tried to copyright it. Recently, there were NFT people trying to sell SCP NFTs, which was, I think all of them ended up being a scam, which is not surprising. I think all of them ended up doing the rug pull, where they just take all the money and run with it. But it'd be so annoying to like the community to have your work potentially taken like that.
Yeah, well, I mean, it is like it's an amazing project. So I'm not surprised. There are a lot of like YouTube channels that will narrate SCPs.
Yeah.
There's this one that's like a series of animations about like a D class personnel or something that they send in. And this D class personnel can't die. I think they're an SCP themselves, and they send them in to test other SCPs. I think that series is called Containment. So I mean, there are bound to be like derivative works, right? But it definitely doesn't sit well if something isn't like very transformative, and then there are people trying to like profit off of it because like they're not the ones that made it, right? It was like an open source thing. It was like an open source project.
If like you make a video game, you're making your own piece of art and expanding the world in a way that's great. Or you take someone else's SCP and make a story about it. That's perfectly possible, right? It all fits within that license, so it can be like ever expanding. Or you make a YouTube an animation, those kinds of things. So that's why the license is there, because you can do that kind of thing. But then there's people who are gonna try to take advantage of it. It's like not even like NFTs, which are just like universally accepted as scummy and frauds, but it's like a lot of low effort stuff as well. Like what we were talking about before about people saying Siren Head is an SCP suddenly, and having to have both the SCP community and Trevor all have to just face that issue. It's like so low effort, very annoying.
Yeah, it's like somebody, it's like a kid with like two action figures or something making them kiss. It's just like, Siren Head and SCP. These are
in the
same
back rooms in my back rooms playset.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh my god, now I want to see toy commercials like that. That would mean somebody's commercially exploding it, so that wouldn't be very fun. But I would like to see someone make some fake toys and do these, these toy commercials where there always has to be a hand moving the toy, because then if the toy moves by itself, it's false advertising. So it has to be a hand. So a little siren head figure just like moving around through the back rooms and trying to doing a fake commercial about that. If someone in chat does anything handcrafted, please take a stab at that. That would be very funny.
Yeah, and at one point, like, the figure moves by itself, and they're just like, that actually wasn't editing. That happened.
Oh, it just moves the hand away. Oh, then it turns into then you have a perfect setup for your typical toys are alive, but in a horror setting. And
yeah,
the siren head toy, the knockoff siren head toy is alive.
Can you imagine like a tiny siren head just running around in your house, and it has like a little Tom and Jerry mouse hole right there that it runs into,
and it makes these squealing noises because it just has these tiny sirens. So it just sounds it sounds like a squeak. It's very cute.
Yeah,
I'd love that. Oh, let's wait for Shen to come back from the door.
It's got the tiny sirens like that.
Yeah.
Am I back?
Yeah.
Am I back from the door?
You're from the
Okay, I'm now the doppelganger, but I'm here to continue the bit. It's basically like siren head is in your walls, and all night you're just hearing this muffled like, and you're just like, oh dang it, I hate the siren head that I have in my walls.
But like very high pitched. It screams. Yeah, it screams like Tom and Jerry. It all says in chat like that Tom and Jerry scream.
Yeah.
Somebody make that. Any animators in chat? We're like throwing ideas around, and now they need to be made.
Please spend 20 hours on this, and then link it to me.
Just do it for us, please.
I declare it so. I want it.
See, you can't put us together in a room. We'll come up with too many strange ideas, and now they're out there, and we need to make somebody needs to make them.
Mm-hmm.
The siren head living in the vents. Yes.
Be kind of cool. I'd be into that.
You have to take care of it. You have to feed it from time to time.
Yeah. I mean, what does it eat? Sounds? I'll feed it some sounds, I guess.
It's a tiny siren head. It can probably eat the rats and stuff, and like cockroaches. So takes care of the pests, and actually kind of becomes a nice, you hear the siren, so you're like, oh, there he is. He's probably out there, that little rascal, trying to steal something from the kitchen.
Yeah. Can you make can you imagine like a tiny siren head eating like one thing of popcorn? Like the whole, or maybe like a blueberry, like it just puts a blueberry in its little siren head mouth. Yeah.
It just goes down the instead of having a neck, since it has a pole, just goes down the pole like a cartoon.
Yeah. You see the circle going down. Yeah.
That's perfect. That's what YouTube Kids should be about Siren Head, instead of weird surreal videos.
Right, I know.
That's what they should be doing. Oh, that reminds me. I love your. We were talking about SCPs, and there's the Peanut 173. I always forget if it's 173 or 137, but that everyone did a redesign for. I loved yours.
Oh yeah.
We're just kind of standing there and just moving through walls.
Yeah, I wanted to make it cute. I had some other stuff kind of written about it that I never published. One of the things was that its transportation procedures were one of those like baby carrying things, that you put on your front. That's like how you move it from place to place.
Good. So you can't. You need to keep an eye on it. So you have to keep it in front of you. That's very smart.
Right. And but you can't get too close to other personnel. You got to keep like a good distance away because it can't snap your neck, but it can snap somebody else's, right? So
It just
you
gotta
got to be
drag you
careful.
around.
Yeah, exactly. Um, and the other thing is like people kept saying because it's so small, it can't like snap your neck. It can only break your ankles, which I think is kind of funny in and of itself. But I started thinking about like, well, if it could snap your neck, how would it do it? And I thought like it has a kind of a screw inside it, and it like it like twists outward and expands up, so it's actually like it can become tall, and then it
I
like
love
snaps
that.
your neck on the way up.
See, I was thinking it would just ram you, just move very
Yeah.
fast, ram you, and when you fall down, it gets to your neck. But that's even smarter.
Yeah, I mean that's a whole like pro wrestling move though. That's like not that's like something you actively experience. It's not over before you know it.
True, that's true.
Yeah, that's like honestly like a Smash Bros combo. It needs to do like the shield break and then goes in for the smash attack.
Oh my god, SCP-173 for Smash, please.
That would be very strong, dude.
Yeah.
That'd be a little bit OP. Yeah.
It was strange
Maybe,
because
maybe like an
yeah, go ahead.
yeah. Oh, I was just saying maybe like a me outfit. I would accept SCP-173
I
me
would
outfit.
take that. I
Yeah.
would take that. They could do it. It's commercial rights, right? Well, I guess our interpretations don't. Just the ones on the wiki, and ours aren't on the wiki.
Hmm.
So I guess it's a bit of a gray area. I don't think Nintendo can just take it unless we allow them to. But the problem
Yeah,
with
Nintendo has
that,
been clamoring.
yeah, they want to get into that SCP internet horror universe. They should.
Yeah, Slenderman, Siren Head in Smash.
Please.
Could be kind of like a Sephiroth clone, maybe. Right? Could work.
Man, I could see a mod. I could see a mod being done, or one of those indie Smash likes about cool
Yeah.
internet creatures. That would be very fun. Yeah,
I
creepypasta
would
death
say,
roll.
oh, you know what? That would be fun. Get like Jeff the Killer in there.
Yeah.
Whenever Jeff the Killer's getting killed, everybody's roasting him because he's clearly not Jeff the Killer anymore. Um, yeah, get like the Ben drowned Link statue in
Yes.
there.
Just like completely
Yeah.
immobile, just moving like this.
That one critter from Petscop that you play as.
Yes. Oh
Um,
my god, Petscop was great. I love that one.
yeah. And then maybe like channel Local 58 as like a gimmick character where like the whole screen is the character and then you apply the
No,
like
a
status effects
stage.
to
That would
it.
be the stage. A stage as local
Oh, you're
58,
right.
and it's just changing the
Right.
switching to channels. So
Right. Right.
we got this is a wellspring of ideas, chats. This is a wellspring of ideas, and I just want you all to take them with you and make something. And look,
Yeah.
every expansion could be like, the Trevor Henderson expansion, and then you get a few new fighters based on these creatures, and you can just expand it by taking cool artists from the internet, and everyone is like a DLC.
Yeah.
Oh my
Um
god, the Channel Zero Teeth Kid, please.
oh yeah. Yeah, absolutely. He would have like his side B would be like the teeth projectile, which I know he doesn't do, but he would like throw a tooth.
I love that. It would just pop out like.
Yeah. I think if I put a character in there, it would probably be like a door with an arm inside it, and it would have a bunch of command grabs.
Yes,
That'd be that.
I love that. Just like a door, and every attack it just some shadow thing pops out of the door and attacks, or just the
Yeah,
door eats you. Then.
yeah. It might be like something different from each attack. Like it like connects to a different world. Like if one of the doors is a door to hell, maybe the up B is just it like shoots fire out of
Oh
it
my
or
god.
something.
Yes.
Yeah.
Mine would just be a big bug. I think that's or something
Pretty
fractal.
cool.
The fractals could be a fun one as well. Hard to animate,
Uh,
but
yeah. The fractals. I was thinking the fractals could be a stage too,
fractals could be a
right?
stage. You're just
Yeah.
fighting on this flower, and it's fractalizing. You know, it's like expanding, so it expands the playing field.
Yeah.
we're I hope someone takes these concepts. Lou Seth, who has game dev experience, please do it.
Yes.
Or I could mock up at least.
Yeah, your guy's like it's like a giant beetle, but it's got like boxing gloves on because it has to do some ass kicking, right? um it needs some like fighting mechanics.
Yeah, it's a big mosquito, and it just like it pinches you, and his whole mechanic is that he gets life back because it's a big mosquito, right? So it's sucking your blood as he attacks.
Yeah.
Yes, Luz tells me to remind her this weekend. I will do. Oh, no, we can make this a reality. Okay,
Yeah.
we've been up for bit more than 2 hours. I think we should call it. What do you think?
Yeah. Yeah, I think this is a good place.
It's a good
Is
place
there
to
any
call it,
like
yes.
outro?
No, we just
Outro stuff?
we just say bye to chats. Chat has been really nice. I've been reading all of it, even though I'm trying to reply to questions as they came in. But thank you guys for chatting. Yeah, I'll say bye to you, and then I'll do a little outro for chats. Thank you so much for being here. It's great having you, and hit me up for that collab comic where we make something too horrifying. Maybe we don't publish it. Maybe it just exists in the void until we decide to terrorize people with it someday.
Yeah, I will absolutely hit you up for that, and thank you for having me on. This was like super fun.
Yeah, I'm like whenever I still have so many guests to get through for this, but whenever I start repeating guests, I will call you. have some repeats, or if you ever stream again, feel free to call me, and have the equivalent of this, but in your channel, so it kind of balances.
Yes, and if you end up by any chance playing Layers of Fear,
yeah, I gotta hear.
bring me in. I would.
Ooh, yeah. Oh, Shen's been taken by the door. Hold on.
I would love to. I mean, am I?
Yeah,
taken by the door?
You're good. It just it actually catches up right after. It stops for a second and it catches up with. So I don't think we're actually missing what you're saying. It just kind of stutters, but it's fine.
Oh.
So does
it go like really fast?
I think it kind of increases the speed to catch you up. I think so, at least. It might skip a little bit. So is Layers of Fear like door-based horror? do we have?
Now that I think about it, it kind of is door-based horror, isn't it? Kind of is. It's a game. You know what? I don't even want to tell you anything about it. Suffice to say that it's like a really fun horror game about an artist that gets injured and then kind of starts going mad.
Ooh, love that.
And yeah.
Then yeah, definitely would be a fun one to play on stream. I will hit you up for that. But yeah, thank you very much. It's been great having you, and we'll be chatting later. I think I'll throw some comic ideas at you maybe.
Absolutely. Your one about the two doors, like one leading to the other, that one is like genius. Like I love that.
I think yeah, that I'm just gifting you that one. That's not something I don't think I can contribute to. That's just for you.
Sick.
It's your idea now if you want to take it somewhere. But okay, Shen, I will talk to you later. Thanks for coming.
Thank you. I'll talk to you later.
See you.
See ya.
Okay, Hold on, let me turn on my camera. Hey, here we are. Thank you guys. Thank you guys for listening. This has been House of Horrors episode, I think 8. So you guys actually, if you scroll down a bit and you go to the House of Horrors link, you'll have a link that will bring you to the whole playlist. So you can watch all the streams with Trevor Henderson and Chris Straub, which we talked about today as well. We got some very fun previous episodes, and the future one will be in about 2 weeks with a guest that I still don't know, so it'll be a surprise for you guys. Apart from that, if you guys didn't know, I stream every week, 3 times a week. This week might be a bit different, but because I'm going out for a holiday, but I'm going to be streaming as usual about 3 times a week, Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays. That's the usual schedule. So if you guys want to see some cool Photoshop horror art, you are in the right place. Other than that, thank you guys very much for listening to us ramble and throw around silly game ideas, because I love doing that. And thanks to everybody who participated in chat as well. I love reading you guys' comments. I will be seeing you tomorrow for a regular art stream, so don't miss that one. Guys, thank you very much. I'll be seeing you.